I suddenly realised that at the time of filming, tomorrow is Mother's Day, and I had a video scheduled to go live tomorrow, and I suddenly thought, I'm going to do something different instead and move everything else ahead a week because my mum deserves to be celebrated. So I thought I would tell you the top 5 reasons why my mum is basically the best mum ever. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realised how different families operate in different ways. So not every family is as demonstrative as mine is, but my mum has always been somebody who, very much like me, mostly wears her heart on her sleeve, and therefore I was raised very much constantly being told how special I am and how loved I am. And I think that's really important for a small child to hear. My mum is someone who, to this day, we have a little routine where one of us will say, love you. The other one will say, love you more. And whoever said it first will go, that's impossible. Or sometimes my mum will just go, no. But yeah, mum and I will tell each other we love each other. We will be very touchy-feely and huggy with each other. And I didn't realise, like I said, until adulthood that all mums weren't like that. That there were some people who I knew who had mums who, you know, were perfectly lovely people but didn't do the whole like, oh, come here you, with their kids all the time. And that's fine. Different horses for different courses and all of that. But I'm somebody who really, like, one of my biggest love languages is physical affection, and I also really need those words of affirmation. So my mum telling me a lot that I'm loved is really important, and having all those cuddles and just chill time together is also really important. I can honestly say that there have been many times, not just the odd time, but many times throughout my life where my mum has made me laugh until I have cried, or I have made her laugh until she has cried, or we've both laughed until we've cried together, because mum and I have a very similar sense of humour and we just know what buttons to press. And also, again, this is one of the things where all families are different, but in our family we are quite sarcastic and we will take the mick out of each other. And if my mum, you know, says a word wrong in a sentence, I will pointedly repeat it wrong. And I'm sure she secretly hates me, but I will then just continually say it wrong for the next few sentences I utter, and it makes her laugh, and she does the same with me. We mock each other, but it's done with love. And yeah, she is just one of those people that I feel like if I need a good giggle, I will spend some time with my mum, because we will inevitably end up laughing, whether with each other or just at each other. One of the reasons I love spending time with my mum is that we have an awful lot of interests in common. In fact, a lot of my biggest interests were probably given to me by my mum. For example, music is one of the biggest things in my whole life, and my love of music definitely started as a little girl rummaging through my mum's vinyl collection. Also, my love of musical theatre comes from my mum. My mum would, when I was a little girl, pop on The Sound of Music or Half a Sixpence for me to watch. And we watched a lot of classic musicals together when I was growing up. And that's become something that I still have a huge amount of love for, thanks to my mum. There are also things that I've introduced her to, like playing Yahtzee, which is a dice game, and it's one of my favourite things to just chill out and spend an hour or so doing on a Saturday. And mum and I have a routine where we have what we refer to as our Yahtzee battle once a week on a Saturday, and the last 3 weeks she has absolutely whooped my ass. So what can I say? I bow down. We also really like watching TV together. We have a lot of TV shows in common that we really enjoy. A lot of true crime, a lot of police procedural dramas. I've gotten her into Doctor Who. And there are certain comedies we really enjoy watching together. So we really enjoy sitting in front of the telly and binging something together. Also, I have definitely become a middle-aged woman now, and I don't like to miss Coronation Street or Emmerdale, and both of those are shows I watch because my mum does. Obviously, it's not just music and TV. We also have other interests in common. We are both foodies. We both enjoy trying new foods and going to new places. We both really like walks, and we walk the dog together normally twice a day. We do have differences, obviously, but we have differences that complement each other mostly. And the things that we have in common, the interests that we have in common, really mean that we have a really good, solid grounding for a friendship as well as a mother-daughter relationship. So I'm really grateful that we have all these things in common. My mum is one of the most generous people that I know, and she's one of those people that doesn't have like millions stashed in the bank or anything like that. So the acts of generosity that she does, that's probably not the right way to say that sentence, but my brain's tired. They are really meaningful and also incredibly thoughtful. My mum isn't just generous as in, here's loads of cash. She really thinks about when she's going to do something for someone, and it means an awful lot as a result. For example, I mentioned a few videos back that I lost a friend recently, back in February, and at the start of this month I went to her funeral. And one of the things I associate with that friend is the book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. And my friend's daughter did a reading from that book at the funeral, and on the order of service there was a picture from the book. And she and I, when we used to message each other, she would sometimes send me pictures or quotes from that book. And I was talking to my mum when I came home from the funeral service, and I said, do you know, I've never actually read the whole book. Like, I know that book mostly because of her, because she was such a fan of it, my friend. And I said, I'm going to have to eventually get a copy of it. And literally a couple of days later, a copy arrived because my mum had ordered it for me. And when I opened this package that came through the door, she was like, well, now you've got something permanent to remember your friend by. And it's stuff like that that is so much more meaningful than just being generous in the throwing cash and gifts at someone sense. It's the thought that goes with that generosity, and I really, really appreciate it. Honestly, my mum is probably my biggest cheerleader. I mean, her and Leslie are scary, probably, when you put them together and when they're cheerleading me. I remember when I gave up a TA job because I had had some children's books published and I really wanted to see if I could make it as an author. And my mum was just my biggest supporter. She was constantly like, yes, you can do this. Your stories are brilliant. Like, everyone should read these books. They're great. They're amazing. And she really, really, really built me up and kept me going for that whole time that I was trying to make it. And I never sort of became massively successful, but she's never like allowed me to give up entirely on these dreams. Like, she's always been like, you can do this, you're really talented at this. Like, obviously you're gonna need a day job, but don't give up on it because I believe in you. And she balances that support with practicality like that. She will sort of say, I think you can make a real success of this project, but just make sure you've got this to fall back on. That support is really vital, and since Leslie and I started Little Bird Creative and have been working for ourselves, having someone in my corner constantly, besides Leslie, obviously, saying, I think you're both really good at what you do, and I think you can make something of yourselves. You can make this business a huge success. Just keep going at it. Like, really, really push, try everything, because I believe in you. That is so precious, because when you are trying to set up your own business and you're coming up against various problems, and particularly when you have a client who still owes you nearly £2,000, you kind of feel like, oh my God, is this just ever going to take off? Should I just give up? And there will always be people in your life who are willing to just tell you, oh no, you need to do something different. You're not good enough to do that, blah, blah, blah. And if there's not someone in your corner constantly fighting for you, it's a really hard position to be in. So I am hugely grateful for the support my mum always gives me. I feel like I should sort of sprinkle some magic and instantly make my mother appear.
Hi everyone!
Happy Mother's Day for tomorrow.
Thank you.
What do you want for Mother's Day?
I'd like either Dr. Gorgeous or Idris Elba.
Okay, they would be very difficult to gift wrap.
Okay, I don't mind.
Okay.
I'll just have them naked.
What would you like us to do tomorrow to celebrate your special day?
Just go for a walk.
We literally do that twice a day.
I
every
know,
day.
but
Okay, cool.
I'm a boring person.
I mean, that's true.
So.
Right, I'll let you go.
Okay then. Bye. Bye everyone.
You can go off, people. So, I know that I am hugely, hugely lucky. Mother's Day is one of those days that is sometimes tinged with a lot of sadness for a lot of people, whether it's because their mum isn't here anymore, or because they don't have a close relationship, or because they always wanted to be a mum and it didn't happen for them. Hi, I know what that feels like. So I hope that however you have spent your day today, you have taken care of yourself as well as the mother figure in your life, if you have one, that you have wanted to spoil. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can click on my floaty head if you'd like to subscribe, and last week's video is over there. I am going to go and spend some more time with my lovely mum, and I will talk to you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.